Hello guys, today is Saturday. That means it is the time for the Instructive Rapid. Let's go. And of course, the first thing I should notice you is that my Chessable course is on sale. So it's finally time for you. For those of you who were not in time to buy it, now it's time to do that if you like to improve your chess. And meanwhile, we are waiting for a game. Okay, very good. This time it happened quite fast, but let's check the opponent. Okay, he played some games, so it's okay. So c4, e5. Now we go for bishop b4. There is some advantage of playing bishop b4 before putting the knight on f6. And the main move here is knight d5 or g3. Queen c2 is just like a slow motion. So now it's okay to put the knight on f6. I mean, knight f6 is also an option instead of bishop b4 is one, like maybe the main move. And here, of course, I can take on c3. I can do something else. Since my opponent has already played queen c2, that means basically I can do something else. Let's play bishop e7, keeping the bishop, yes, not giving up the bishop pair. And in fact, we are just playing the reversed version of 1e4 c5. So the reverse version of the Sicilian defense. Let's start with knight c6, or kind of probably forcing my opponent to play knight f3. I could have castled, it would be totally fine. And by the way, there is a funny thing about cheaters on Lichess. So after my previous stream last week, I played several games to get included into the top, what they call it, the leaderboard, let's say. And then I was 2880 in Rapid, and I dropped it down to, let's go for 94, and I dropped it down to 2790. And a few days later, I got a few messages on Lichess from, like, you know, can see it here, but okay. So the first message was saying that you played somebody who violated the rules of Lichess, and I got, I think, 18 points back. The next day it was another message saying that you played somebody who violated the terms of late chess, and I got back 50 rating points. And so this is about, I guess, of course, when playing against a grandmaster here, there are some people who wouldn't mind to cheat, to just like to have some fun, let's say. Basically, this position is just quite calm, quite dryish, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I mean in terms of playing for a win, and not really, I would say, not really much instructive here, but still okay, we just develop. And actually, I would say for black, it's not bad at all to get, like, to equalize, let's say. And I would say that I have equalized, at least. I don't think black has any problems here, so black is doing okay. And when playing black, obviously, let's say we would like to pretend, let's say we would like to win a game, but basically there are two options. We either equalize first and then we keep playing, or in terms of playing for a win, of course, or we try to jump over equality and trick the opponent somehow. Of course, sometimes we simply get a bad position from the opening because we're playing black, like bad position, a worse position. But in terms of playing for a win, it's either we equalize first and then we keep pushing for something, or we try to jump over equality in the opening, and then still we try, and yeah, if we were successful about that, it's good. And so in terms of equalizing, yeah, I have equalized, so it's good. Yeah, it's not bad here. But the what is bad is that the position is quite dry, let's say. Yeah, quite dry, quite symmetrical. And this is not so great in terms of playing for a win. On the other hand, in terms of it's always good to exchange the fianchetto bishop, so let's do that. On the other hand, in terms of, let's say, playing for... Maybe it made sense to play a6, a4, and so that pawn wouldn't be left on a a7 unattended. And my opponent's king is slightly vulnerable, so let's try to highlight that by playing... Actually, yeah, I made... maybe I made a small inaccuracy. Maybe it made sense to go for... Actually, like, maybe it's fine. But maybe it made sense to go for h5 before taking on g2, so my opponent wouldn't play h4, because now he can play h4. At the same time, maybe h4, I can go for a bishop takes h4 or queen g4. So, yeah, like, I can, yeah, like, okay. But maybe he can play h3. Maybe h3 is a smart move in terms of meeting h4 with g4. And then, in terms of that, it would make perfect sense to start with h5. And then playing h4 and maybe taking on g2 later. At the same time, I didn't really want to be forced to take on c6 with my b7 pawn. And the guy played h3. Of course he did it. Yeah. Maybe including h4, g4 overall is not a bad idea for me, because later if my queen gets on this diagonal, it's gonna be it's gonna be something for me, something interesting, then get into f3. So let's play h4. Let's include this h4, g4. And it's already, yeah, like already my opponent's behavior is a bit suspicious here because I okay, I just thought his plan was to go for g4. That was the point of playing h3. And what I wanted to say is that already my opponent's behavior is a bit suspicious here because wasting time on like such an obvious move as g4 is like not so clear why. Hello, Arabian chess friends. Thank you, and you're welcome. So I'm slightly better here. Maybe not slightly, maybe slightly better here because, yeah, bishop g5 is a good idea by the guy. Like, he's like, you see, he's going for a very dry decisions, let's say. However, here there is one problem for the guy. Maybe there will be one problem for the guy. Let's take, now let's take on g3 first. And the guy is in trouble. And you can see that I didn't do nothing incredible, nothing. I didn't even, like, you see, I was like a very friendly guy here. A very friendly guy here, just like doing nothing, just developing my pieces, but white is already in trouble. Because if he takes on g3, then at some point I go for rook e2. I wanted to take on c4 first in that case. Yeah, you didn't do anything, but your pieces did. And actually, yes, maybe it made sense to take on c4 first, but okay, here I don't think it is a problem for me because anyway, his king is exposed. So now, yeah, the problem is that, no, it's not a problem, of course. I can go for cd5 after fg3, rook e2. Or I can go for gf2 here. gf2 makes perfect sense, of course. Because if gf2, let's say d takes c6, queen c6, if king f2, his king is incredibly like I haven't ever seen such a weak king. Or I can take on d5 and then go for rook e2, maybe rook f2, takes, queen h3, queen takes d5. That position also looks good. And you know, this is sometimes a problem when, let's say, whatever you play looks good. Okay, maybe not whatever. Maybe, let's say, you have two options and both options look good. Then it's not that easy to make a decision. So now I'm just a pawn up, a very comfortable position. Yeah, he wants to exchange the queens. Here we have an interesting situation, guys. In terms of exchanging of the queens, there are two things. One thing is the king safety. And the second thing is material. And here the score is 1-1 for in terms of exchange the queens or not. Because on one hand, I'm a pawn up, so basically it would be good for me to exchange the queens. On the other hand, his king is definitely worse than mine, so it makes sense to keep the queens. But what is really important, I think what is really important is that, let's say queen g4, a4, we have the rook endgame. And the rook endgame is very famous for being quite drawish. So that's why rook e6 is, I believe, is way more natural, with the idea of rook g6 at some point, maybe very next move. Hey master, sometimes I play like Magnus Carlsen and sometimes I play like 800 ELO beginner. Why does that happen? I'm not consistent. I doubt you really play like Magnus Carlsen if you play like 800 ELO from time to time. Like, let's be honest. King h1 is a natural move. Let's play queen e7. I don't really care about the pawn on a3. Main idea is to unpin my rooks, or being able to play rook g6 if necessary, rook e1 if necessary. I would of course go for rook e8, but then after rook g1 I would have to play g6. While now I can go for rook g6 here. So I'm a pawn up, his king is weak, and now it's even safe to take the pawn. Is it safe? I think it should be safe to take the pawn on a3. However, just for you to know, I checked one thing before taking the pawn. I checked rook takes f7, because the pawn on f7 is a weak spot, a super weak spot, and so I needed to keep an eye on it. And now we go for queen c1 check. I need to bring the queen back to protect the pawns. Now we go for queen c7, protect an f7, and the only thing left is to protect the pawn on d5. So let's go for rook d8. I don't need to develop the rook. I can play a5. However, rook d8, rook d6 is an interesting idea. So queen d7 is a great move. a5 is like queen d7 followed by a5, or rook d8, rook d6 is a nice idea for me. I can do whatever, I think. Let's go for rook d8. Okay, this time I'm 2 pawns up, so that's enough to win the rook endgame. So I don't need to grab more material anymore. Let's play a5. That is my passed pawn. I can, at some point, I can even drop my a5 and go in after h3. I mean, if he goes for b6, b7 with his king. So the plan is simple, f5, f4, just pushing the pawn. And f3 should be winning. I mean, I can give up one of my pawns, it's okay, just to get more activity with my rook. Or I can do it, I can like switch, I can switch the side. It's time to resign. And of course, winning with black is more difficult, and sometimes we just have to accept the fact that draw is a natural result of the game, and it's actually very important to accept that, let's say. I mean, especially when playing against lower rated opponents, like, you know, if we over push, we can easily do something wrong. So some knight g5, not yet, maybe not at all. So let's go for castling. And now it's time to think about the pawn on e5 and also about his possibility to play bishop g4 at some point. Let's go for e d6. I would prefer to keep the pawn on e5, but unfortunately there is no way to... I mean, there is a way to do that, but anyway, black would be able to take it. Bishop g4 is never an option because of bishop f7 followed by knight g5, so obviously black needs to castle. And now bishop g4 is an option, so I don't really want him playing bishop g4, so I play h6. Hello, hello. My plan is quite simple, either bishop f4 or bishop g5, and maybe just similar to the previous game, okay, before he played h6, just similar to the previous game, I wanted to go for a bishop g5, bishop f4, queen d2, exchanging the fianchetto bishop, and maybe eventually playing against the king. Since the guy played h6 himself, now maybe we can, like, let's play bishop f4 first of all. The plan is simple: centralizing, developing my pieces, centralizing, and then I will think what to do next. Black is doing okay here, I think, but white is also doing okay. We are fine about that. Moves like, let's say g5, it will be about weakening the king, and fortunately for black, bishop g5 doesn't win instantly, and maybe doesn't win at all because of takes, and there is bishop f5. Bishop f5, queen h5, however, might be interesting. But overall, g5, even bishop h2, and like, it's not a good idea to weaken the king like this. e5 is not a bad idea. I would have to move my bishop away, but then d6 will become a target. b6 doesn't look great, honestly saying. So queen d2 is the most natural move here. Let's just play queen d2. And asking the guy what he's gonna do about his pawn on h6. Because at some point later, when he plays king h7, I play rook d1, just developing my rook, a very important move, by the way. And so my point is, once he plays bishop b7, what he's gonna do about h4 actually, because if previously his bishop was on c8, now I'm not so sure what he's gonna do about h4. And a very standard situation, which I explain in my course, is that everything is developed, it's time to advance. And pawn push is one of the ways to advance, especially when the king is weakened by the absence of the knight on f6. And so let's see what the guy is going to do about that. I'm also curious, because obviously h5 doesn't look great because of this g5 square. And what else? Rook c8 is an interesting move, because probably he wants, at least it feels like he's considering something like knight e5. And maybe it makes sense just to play bishop d3, so we're asking him another question about the situation there. Overall, you should be careful when your pieces are unprotected, and especially like somebody is somebody is targeting them. h5 is interesting, but I'm not so sure about knight e5. Obviously, the guy said that, okay, look, I'm gonna play knight e5. Maybe, of course, I can, let's say h5, knight e5, let's say bishop takes e5. Maybe it's not a problem at all for me. Maybe it's just it's just fine. Maybe it's not so fine. Maybe h5, knight e5. Maybe I go for knight e5, d5, queen d8, rook d8, rook d8, rook d8, takes there. Maybe not taken. Maybe just bishop e5 straight away. It looks actually good for me. Why not? And so basically, when there is some kind of a threat against you, you have three options. You can just do something about that, kind of passively. For example, I thought about playing bishop d3. Here I wasn't so sure about e5. e5, bishop g3, f5. So while the d file is kind of open, yeah, it is not blocked by the bishop on d3, I kind of prevent e5 little bit. So yeah, this would be a passive way, just like moving the bishop d5. I was also considering this move, a reasonable move, I would say. We can just ignore it, doing something else, or we can do something active. I think my response is closer to something active. Knight e5, what is this? Just like such a slow move. Here there are already some interesting ideas, but do they work? So, unprotected. So, yeah, unprotected. Hg6 is not so exciting, but it's an option. Hg6, playing bishop e6, having just a good position. But what is really interesting, of course, I can play bishop d3 as well, maybe bishop d5, but what is really interesting is bishop takes f7, of course. Rook takes f7, hg6, king takes g6. Now I should play queen d3, so his king wouldn't escape. Queen d3. After queen d3, rook f5 loses immediately because of knight h4. There are two moves, king h5 and king f6. And both moves don't look good. But maybe... Oh, okay. Oh, let's go. I have calculated, I have briefly checked a few more things. I didn't mention them. Maybe I'll mention later, maybe not at all. And also I calculated something after rook f7, hg6, king g6, queen d3. I saw something after king f6, I saw something after king h5, and I will mention it later. It depends if he takes the bishop or not. Whenever you sacrifice something, your opponent basically has two options. A critical one and non-critical. So a critical option for black here is rook f7, but when you sacrifice something, you should also check non-critical options like bishop takes f3, gh5, and g5. And I actually thought that g5 was the best move for the guy, because the rest would be just like, maybe after the game I will show you what happens after this, queen d3. Actually, it's easy to say. After king f6, I have knight e5. Or maybe something else, maybe knight h4 is winning as well. After king h5, I have g4, king g4, queen g6, totally crushing the guy. So in terms of that, g5 is his best chance, because the bishop is hanging, the other bishop is hanging as well. So I can do, what I can do here is just bishop g6 check, king h8, and moving the bishop, let's say, to g3. Then he can take, of course, bishop f3, gf3, rook f3, and that position obviously should be better for me. But of course, there are more interesting ideas, like, for example, queen d3 check, king h8, then something like, even like maybe giving up the bishop. Maybe, of course, like bishop g5 would be just a great move, if not rook f7, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, if bishop g5, a g5, then knight g5, then like black is dead there. Queen d3, or like knight g5 is interesting. A g5, I can go for either bishop takes g5, rook f7, queen d3, king g8, queen g6. Two pieces down, but a lot of compensation. I can also go for knight g5, a g5, bishop g6 check, king whatever, bishop takes g5, having three pawns for a piece and initiative. And now it's time to answer an interesting question. What is my best move? I also just found a nice idea. Oh my god, such a nice idea, but does it work? No, shit. Oh, it's so close to work, like something like knight e5, or starting with queen d3, king h8, and then knight e5 would be brilliant. But unfortunately, there is d5, queen g6, and then just ef4. So 2 minutes. A very exciting position, and of course, in a classical game, I would spend a lot of time here calculating and trying to find the most precise way to get something out of this position. But we are limited with our time. So what do I do? Let's go for knight g5. I don't think this is the best move. I think probably I had something more powerful. But explaining a lot of things to you, I had no time, like, seriously think about the position. Maybe there was nothing. And this way, I don't really like it that much, let's say, because 3 pawns, but somehow my pieces are not joining the king side to continue the attack, let's say. But still should be a better position for me. And also there is a threat of bishop takes e7, which is not so pleasant for the guy. But now I'm realizing, and it's not like I'm now realizing. I told you that it's not like maybe the best move, the best way, and maybe now looking at this position, I think that it was not the best way at all because of this knight c4 move. However, just now, a second ago, 1 second prior to what I said, I realized that actually I'm still doing fine, because now if knight e5 I have f4, and if knight g6 a g6, this is just bad for the guy. And actually, what is he gonna do? That's a good question. So that stupid pawn on e7 is hanging, and it's not so easy, it's not so convenient for him to protect it. I would have preferred to be, let's say, I would have preferred it to be more convenient somehow. Here it doesn't feel like, yes, I have something, but it's not like, we'll check after the game if I had anything more like queen d3 stuff, knight h4, knight e5 stuff, or it should have been just bishop g6 and then bishop g3. Oh, maybe it was, no, maybe it was, yeah, maybe the solution was bishop g6, king h8, and now bishop takes g4. Yeah, that one looks way better. I thought about bishop g5, but I didn't like it because of rook f7. Okay, there is not much time to think, so let's just take on f6, because if rook takes, I will take one more pawn. And his king will be, even without queens, his king will still be quite vulnerable. While if he goes for this, I go for b3, attacking the knight. And now I can even go for... Can I go for... I can go for f4. And if he takes on g6, I go for g6, threatening queen h5 and some kind of checkmates. While if he goes for king g7 there, I have queen e7 and winning the bishop. Now there are only a few moves he can make not to lose the game immediately, and he wasn't able to. Okay, let's go for queen e7. And the rook endgame, once again, the same guy, the same rook endgame. Material down for him. You stream every time I have to study for exams. Do you mean it is bad? I need to find another time to stream? Actually, maybe the rook endgame is not... okay, I can take the pawn on d6, yeah. Still should, like, there is some work to do here, actually. And no time. Oh, phew. Yeah, so I think my guess is that my best option was bishop g6 check, king h8, and then bishop g5, 8 g5, knight g5. That would be, yeah, that would be a win for me, I guess. But okay, let's start from the beginning. So just natural moves developing. Yeah, b6 I told you didn't look right. So here h4 is an obvious move. h5. And knight a5, of course, a blunder. Bishop f7, yeah, g5 is the best move for the guy. Unfortunately, he found it. And actually, I found both ways, both best moves, let's say. So yeah, bishop g6 is bishop g6, king h8. No bishop g5 here, so no, I wouldn't say I found it. What I did in the game actually was the best, but bishop g3 was a simple option, let's say. So knight g5, bishop g6, yeah, bishop g5. So actually it was a good decision by me. And he needed to play rook c7, simply defending the pawn on e7, and the game goes on. White is better. This is a mistake. Rook f6 he should have played. Takes. Bishop c6. But here I just have too many pawns, so obviously I'm still better. Knight b2, probably rook e1. Rook e1, rook e7. Like it was in the game. B3, rook d4 was stronger. King g7 actually was the best move, and surprisingly, this endgame is just almost nothing for me. Luckily for the guy. Interesting. Here he made some mistakes, but then okay, then yeah, oh, king g4, yeah, f5, king g4, f5 is an easy win. But then okay, here I was low on time, so okay. Stop, like, what is this? This is first 5-minute penalty. Next one will be lifelong. Or maybe not lifelong. I don't know for how much time I can time out somebody. No need to write shit about like please play me, and doing that several times in a row. So you see, basically with black it was about simply equalizing first, just like still doing like normal moves, developing pieces. With white it was basically the same. I just developed my pieces. Then I played h4, h5, and then it was time for a shot with bishop takes f7. But bishop f7 was not that, let's say bishop e2 was an option there probably, but bishop f7 was a nice move, of course. Or I could have, maybe I could have taken on g6, a g6, f g6, and then playing bishop e2. You're welcome. Yeah, just in case, informing in advance that yeah, next week and week after there will be no stream because I will be away, like I'll be away for playing Asian Rapid and Blitz Chess Championship. So finally, over the board event, the last tournament over the board, series 1, more or less, I played in February in Tashkent. It was a classical tournament, and my last Rapid and Blitz series tournament was World Rapid and Blitz in December. So we're gonna play Asian Championship. Not too strong tournament, but there are some good players, some like Wan Hao, some other like 2600 guys. So it will be an interesting experience before, like hopefully before this year World Rapid and Blitz Chess Championship. So, and now nobody to play with. It's not gonna be too long today. I'm gonna play maybe 2 more rapid games if there will be somebody to play with, or if there will be nobody to play rapid games, then maybe several blitz games. However, I would prefer to play rapid games because recently I've increased my blitz rating. You cannot really see it, but maybe you will see it here if here you will probably see it, that I am actually 2900 in blitz on Lichess, so number 14. So I would prefer not to drop that down. I also finally on Rapid, like you can see me here. It means nothing, of course, but still kind of pleasant. While it's gonna be really hard for me to get somewhere in Bullet, unfortunately for Bullet, it's yes. Also with my internet, I did it like a few days ago. I had 31 something. I was somewhere here, so number 50. 50 is nothing, of course. Hello, hello. So many of the things I explain, you can many of the things I explain, and if you would like to learn them, you can learn them in my course. It's basically this concept of developing pieces, how to develop them, and then how to advance, like I did it in the last game with h4, h5, and then even bishop takes f7, super weak spot. No, I don't have any opening courses, only let's say some middle game stuff, thinking stuff, only that. I'm allergic to openings. So, like, I forgot to press the button, but I'm not sure if it will be really helpful. If your guys rated higher than 2400 in Rapid, then maybe you have a chance to catch me. Actually, if you're rated higher than 2400, then you can just challenge me, send me a challenge on Lichess, and I will play against you. Because I don't really care who I play against. No, I don't hate opening courses. Let's go for e5, something more solid. I think making an opening course is quite... first of all, it's quite challenging. And secondly, since I'm not an opening player, if you understand what I mean, the point is that I'm not... like, you know, there are many guys who are good in the opening. And basically that's it. They're not good at anything else. I'm very good at playing chess. I'm very good at my understanding is very good. My thinking is very good. Of course, I know something in my lines. I know something in my openings. But still, like, you know, I'm not, like, let's say, the best guy to teach somebody some openings. And secondly, for me, it's always, like, you know, it's always a funny moment in terms of, let's say, with white, you know, if you make an opening course with white, then you should provide some advantage. If you make a course for black, then you should provide some equality. And so the question is, how do you do that? Because, like, if these, like, let's imagine I made one course with white, and then I make a course with black, and they kind of with white. I don't like to lie. Let's say, yes. And making an opening course, you kind of have to lie a little bit at the very least. Let's go for knight d6. I'm just, like, the plan is just to develop, and the scenario of this game is already similar to the first game I played with black. Obviously, quite a dry position. Yeah, so that's why I like to teach people what I'm really good at. So thinking process, understanding what you need to do. I even don't mind to give up him the bishop pair, like knight g6, h6 is okay, let's play. But of course, this position is gonna be hard to play for a win. So, for example, normally, just like since it is a stream and explaining something, I would normally, of course, go for c5, knight f6 and beat the guy easily. But since, oh, f4, this is a very good sound. A sign, I wanted to say, but sound is also not bad. f4 was absolutely unnecessary for white. A mistake. An obvious mistake. Just like do whatever, grab the bishop, play knight f3, play bishop somewhere, rook e1, or the other rook to e1, double the rooks on the e file, make a draw, be happy. No, he played f4, kind of saying like, okay, I'm the boss here. I'm gonna checkmate you, bitch. Yeah, but I'm not the bitch, you know, to get checkmated. I hope. So now the e4 is a problem. Is a problem for white. What endgames are good to start with? Basically, the answer to this question is like you can find it in any book on endgames, and usually it is. What do they usually start with? I think pawn endgames. Usually they start with pawn endgames, then knight endgames, bishop, rook, or pawn endgames. Let's say basically maybe the easiest ones. Not the easiest ones. Actually, they are quite hard sometimes. Maybe they are the simplest ones, yeah, because there are not too many pieces on the board. But actually, if you meet them in a real life, they are quite hard to calculate, to evaluate sometimes. Yeah, basically, I don't care about the opening. For me, the opening is just like get in an okay position, and it will be fine. Basically, I can even go for d takes c4. It wouldn't be probably a mistake. Yeah, the only thing I shouldn't blunder knight d2. And I thought I will be in time to play f6, but f6 probably like cd5. Okay, cd5 is not a problem actually. Can I play? I think I can play f6. I hope I can. But I'm not actually 100% sure about that. And maybe what I just did was a mistake. Maybe yes, maybe not. We'll see. But okay, yeah, maybe I had a more accurate way of doing the things, let's say, at the very least. I could have played f5 here, knight f6, knight e4. And maybe knight d e4 was the right knight. Somehow I underestimated c4, even though it shouldn't be a problem here, but maybe I could have taken on c4, knight c4, and then playing something like knight f6. Maybe that was the way. Now just there is a lot of tension, and there are some captures, there are some ideas for white, so it depends if any of that works for white or not. Yeah, so what I started to say, yeah, basically I don't care about the opening. For me, it's I know some lines, of course. I know some like my specific lines, and okay. So now c5 is a small problem for me. And I can, of course, play f5, but I would prefer not to do that. But if I take on c4, knight takes c4, then it will still be about that pawn on h7. And for example, knight c4, queen takes e4, queen h7, queen e6, two threats. Huh. like, I think it should be some way for me, some easy way for me, but I don't see it. Maybe g6 is my way. Such a weird move. Maybe g6 is the way, because c5, actually, I realized that c5 is not a problem. I have knight d2 there. And how old are you? If you increased your rating from 1639 to 1825 in a year, that's a very good improvement. Yeah, so if he plays c5, I have knight d2, c d6, knight f3, and then bishop d6. So I simply protected that h7. Also, at some point, the knight may go to f5 if necessary. Overall, I don't want yet to play f5, allowing white to move the knight back to e5. However, maybe it was not a bad idea at all. And I actually think it was not a bad idea at all to do that. Yeah. Queen b3, I thought about it. I thought about it here, actually. c4, f6. I thought about cd5, cd5, queen b3. There it would be, let's say there it would be not so convenient for me. And here we go. This is the question what I do here. Because the d5 pawn is hanging. And if I move my knight, then the b7 will be hanging. And that's why maybe it was easier to play f5. But okay, here in the worst case, I can simply sacrifice a pawn. But I would prefer not to do that. Why should I give up this guy anything? But what do I do about that pawn? Yeah, so the problem, queen a5, there is knight e4, queen b7. And I thought it would be not a problem. I would simply play something there, but actually, like maybe queen d8 would be the best move there, because if I play a rook e8, there is queen d7. Like, his queen will be snitching around, not something I like. But okay, I think here it should be some simple move from me, which I don't see right now. Maybe there is no move. Maybe there is no simple move. If I go for knight d2, then at the very least, no, not at the very least. If knight d2, he should go for queen d5. Knight f7 there. Oh, here is you. Here's my brilliancy. Here's my Does it work? Yes. Knight d2 is the move. I told you, I feel like there should be a move that where I don't have to give up a pawn. But the point is, queen d5, knight f7, the queen on d5 is hanging, queen d8, and intermediate check on f3. And I will be a piece up, so he cannot do that. And here I thought I would go for knight c4, and now I realize that actually my b7 pawn will still be hanging. Well, of course, there are some ideas there, but yeah, shit. This is not exactly what I wanted, let's say. Sure, this pawn is hanging, and I don't want to lose it, so I should move my knight somewhere, maybe e4 or c4. Let's say knight e4, queen b7, rook b8, takes. Obviously, there is some compensation from me there. Or knight c4. Knight c4, queen b7, rook rook b8, queen a7, rook b2. The question is, where do I need my knight to be? A very good question. I'm not sure which is the best square. Because they both look reasonable. Let's go to e4. At least that one is closer to his king. There will be some ideas with my queen being on f2 on this diagonal. Also the knight on e4 steals the f2 square from the king, and the guy decided not to mess around. He accepted his loss. Okay, let's go just for queen d7, protecting the pawn, developing my queen. Probably he's gonna play rook e1. I will go king g7, avoiding rook takes e4. I don't want to play f5, of course, because of knight e5. And maybe now I can go for f5. Or I can also, of course, I can go for knight d2, bishop d2 and play in that position. But that position looks somehow it looks more drawish, I would say. But f5, f5, f5. Okay, let's go for f5, yes. The knight on e5 itself is not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Let's go for a6 now. And so now my knight is good. Or, okay, maybe both knights are okay, but my bishop is good, and his bishop is not good. That's why my knight on e4 is good, and his knight on e5 is not that good, let's say. And at some point, for example, I can consider like capture on e5 with bishop f6, bishop takes e5. Like, so he decided to exchange the queens anyway. Funny guy. What do I do now? I just double the rooks, and then infiltrate with rook c2 or rook c1. Oh, for a 24-year-old, it's a good improvement, like almost 200 points in a year. This is a lot. So, of course, now I can simply take and win the pawn on a3. I can also start with bishop takes a3, ba3, rook c3. The question is, which one is more convenient for me? Maybe not doing any of them, actually. Maybe let's start with b5, first of all, seeing what the guy is going to do. Thinking about a5, b4, or just at least my pawn on b5 is protected now, so I may take on c3 in a better, let's say, doing that in a better way. The only problem now is that if I take on a3 now, there is bishop a5 this time. And if I take on c3, and later a6 will be hanging. So let's give him a move to make. Let's see what he's gonna do. Can I take on a3 now? Because now if bishop a5, I have rook c1 check. Bishop f4 was the move. No, I couldn't play rook c1 there instead of something. His rook on e1 was protected. Yes, I'm going to play Asian Rapid and Blitz Chess Championship. It starts in less than 10 days. And I also planned to play the Abu Dhabi Open, but I will be waiting for some news from that region, let's say. Oh, this is an opening line which I know, even though bishop g5 is a mistake. Black should play g6 here. This is still something I know. After e6, it is +1 for white there. Black can escape to like not getting checkmated, but black will be a pawn down without any counterplay. What is interesting, I caught Bahadur Jabava for the same trick in this opening, which is weird because he is a very experienced player. And this is all I know, and I got the same position against Bahadur Jababa. It was an online game, of course. And the funny thing is that I'm not even one e4 player. So unfortunately, this game is not so instructive because it's all about like knowing this opening line. Maybe it will be instructive in terms of converting an extra pawn. But maybe there will be not much to explain. Yeah, especially after this, because after queen d5, he should take on d5. And this is just a pure advantage for me. But okay, let's calm down. Let's not be too excited about getting an extra pawn from the opening and basically getting a winning position. Let's play rook d4, slightly cutting off the knight, so avoiding some knight g4 tricks. My next move will be h3, followed by rook hd1. Or maybe I will start with rook hd1. Next move will be h3, avoiding knight g4 ideas. And then I will either consider some options of exchanging the rooks. It will be good for me to exchange one pair of rooks. And of course, activating my extra pawn on the queen side. So c4, b3, or b3, king b2, c4. Slowly. I don't need to win more material. The only thing I need to keep what I have. So knight e4 is not a problem, but it is not a problem maybe for now. Once I play b3, it will be a little bit annoying. So what about starting with... If I play a rook a4, then a6. Let's play a4 then. I see what you are doing, my friend. Okay, let's go for b3, king b2. Of course, basically this position is an easy win for white. But white needs to show a little bit of technique. And usually, actually, I'm not so good at showing technique. Okay, king b2, b5 I don't care about it. And now I go for c4. I go for c4 now. It's not like I'm also playing Nimzo Sicilian. It's like, you know, they should have renamed it after me. Yeah, so it is Rakhmanov Sicilian. What if you look for Nimzovich games in that line, you will find almost nothing. Yes, and if you look for my games, you will find like 100 million games. So is b5 a problem? That's the question. Yeah, before playing rook d6, we should think about b5 by black. And actually now, like I forgot that my plan was to exchange one pair of rooks, and now it's a perfect moment to do that. Yeah, I easily win, even, let's say, in Blitz Rapid, I beat some 2600 guys, 27. If they don't know much, and usually they don't know anything. Yes, of course, I have played many classical games as well in that line. So the only thing to learn from this game is that with black you should know some, let's say, some opening stuff, or at least not playing bishop g5 too fast like my opponent did, considering g6. And then it was just about converting, which was quite easy. Do you have any tips to someone lost and drew against 400 rating below them? Perhaps a5 looks quite reasonable, putting my pawn on that square, so or maybe bishop b6 next move. The only thing I need to keep an eye on after rook e7, I will play king a3, avoiding some tricks with knight f2. Even there, maybe there it's also there. Actually, I can even give him a chance. I can also play king c2, by the way. So what? Yeah, the problem, I cannot take control over the 7th rank. But how about f3? Actually, where does the knight go? f3 looks quite reasonable. So my tip to those who lost and drew against 400 rate and below them would be to think what your expectation from the game is, and basically accept that, for example, with black, playing black, you don't have to like play for a win. Yeah, there's something what I'm telling you now looks weird, but you know, hello Megalodon. How are you doing? No, it's like better to buy not the first course, but better to buy the third course nowadays. I think this one is the best. So now we improve the bishop a little bit. And maybe I can even put my bishop on e5 if necessary. Maybe there will be some knight h5, for example, g4, takes, knight f4, bishop e5, rook f7, takes, rook d7, and black can resign. While initially I thought about bishop e5, but here there is a problem with the rook e7. I could have also played it in a more in a slower way, like no rush, taking my time. That would be totally fine. But here I already have a direct way to win, so why not? So the point is that, yeah, knight f6 is probably the best option for him, at least like keep controlling the 7th rank with the rook. And my plan was to exchange. Otherwise, I wouldn't even go for g4. And I will exchange. But of course, I should control this guy's activity, not allowing him to get some activity here. Let's start with king c3. Maybe rook d5 makes sense to start with, a decent move. Like king c3 makes perfect sense as well. Let's start with rook d5. Like next move, I will do this, or like this. Rook e3, I have rook d3, and he will be forced to get back to the 7th rank. Actually, after rook e3, I can also go for king b4, also like a reasonable idea. Now we go to d4, like this. I can even put my rook on h5 to protect the pawn on h3. Yeah, basically the plan from the very beginning, the plan once we got to that endgame was to create a passed pawn on the queen side and win the game. Yeah, so finally answering the question. So you see, the problem is that first of all, we shouldn't think that the guys who are rated 400 lower than us, they're potzers, yeah? They may be decent players. And also they may play one good game, especially if it is the beginning of a tournament. Like often there are some guys who are good first 2-3 rounds. Once 2-3 rounds are over, like you can beat them easily. Because they had only enough energy for like 1-2 games, and that's it. So the point is that you shouldn't, first of all, you shouldn't get upset about that, because it happens. Secondly, you should check your game, what happened. Was it, let's say, over expectation or what? Or maybe you were avoiding draw. Some final preparation before pushing the pawns or getting in with my king. So how do I win this? Should I play b5? Should I play c5? Just getting in. Let's go for b5. At some point, I can even sack my rook and just like push him, squeeze him. So it depends what happened. If you just, for example, blundered something, then hopefully this was one game situation and that's it. If you're like, maybe I think one of the points was about you wanted to beat them, yes, too badly. You wanted to beat them too badly, let's say. No, there is nothing dubious in that line. And here is a psychological trick, because like you see, you think that, okay, I must win, and that must win creates a problem for you. So you trap yourself by thinking that you must win these guys. Actually, they may have a, let's say, they may have, like here, this game is not much to analyze. The previous game was one interesting moment. Yeah, so f4, I told you guys, yeah, f4 is always, in 80% situation, 90% situation, f4 is overrated. Especially like here, yeah, knight g6, just play a convenient, like a good position. Don't create problems for yourself, that's it. Just knight g6, a g6, knight f3, bishop f4, rook e1, double the rooks, make draw, and that's it. Or if, let's say, there are two even players, then even win with white. Oh, queen c8 was quite a nice move. Or rook e8, yeah? So no rush with knight e4. But okay, here it was actually everything okay for me. f5 was the move, yeah, more accurate. Knight d2 was right, knight c4 and knight e4. Yeah, and queen b7, I thought about this. And I thought to take on b2. something like this. And obviously I have enough compensation, and black is even better because my pieces are more active, and because of f2, f4, his king is more vulnerable. Who cares about the engine's evaluation? And once he exchanged the queens here, everything was just over. Okay, actually, let's play, like, maybe, let's play 1 or 2 more games. Yeah, so if you played black, yes, like especially playing black, that's why you see, that's why we have a tournament. The tournament consists of 9 rounds. And you have some rounds to make some draws. Yes, you don't have to win all 9 games. Yes, it's sad because of ego. It's sad because of losing some rating points. But this is a reality. For example, when I'm playing black against players rated, let's say nowadays I'm around 2600. And when I play against players rated higher than 2400, basically I accept that draw is okay result for those games. I don't have mindset that I need to beat them for like whatever it costs me, because I understand that they 2400, 2450, 2500, they know how to play chess. Without their assistance, I wouldn't be able to beat them with black. With white, maybe. With white, maybe I, of course, let's say I have some small advantage from the beginning, but even with white, it depends on what I get, how well they are prepared. So it can be like one game, it can be like there are too many things. Yeah, because if, for example, like maybe it was his preparation, he was lucky to catch you, and it was a dead draw. Maybe it was his good day. Like it kind of like there are many things. At the same time, the only recommendation I would give you is that you need to have some like sidelines, offbeat openings to play for a win with black if you really want to beat lower rated guys. For example, with black I play Nimzo Sicilian. Against anybody lower rated than 2400 I can play that. Against d4, knight f6, c4, d6, the old Indian I play to play for a win with black. And you can find yourself a convenient line to play for a win. Because obviously, as I said, there are 2 ways of playing for a win with black. The one where you just equalize first, neutralize white's pressure, and then you can try to play for a win if there is something left there to play for. Or the second way, which I use from time to time, is that I'm trying to jump over equality, going for some not even sharp positions, but the openings my opponents don't know much. So this is my way, and I go through according to the engine, like maybe sometimes not such good positions. If my opponents would know what they needed to do in the opening, maybe they would get +1, +1.5 advantage, but they don't know because those are offbeat openings. Semislav or Semi-Tarash. Like none of this I would prefer. Okay, should I make a video, a YouTube video teaching you badass openings with black to play for a win against lower rated guys. So the old Indian, so d4 knight f6 c4 d6, and the Nimzo Sicilian e4 c5 knight f3 knight f6. Also, the only thing I would mention is that you need, of course, even if you want to play something, a sideline, you need to be comfortable with that sideline. Because if you play something that, like for example Benoni, if you don't like it, then like you wouldn't beat lower rated guys. Okay, so just like another, like you see, today is a hard day for black because third game in a row they play something very solid. They don't even. Okay, actually, okay. Two previous game it was my fault because I played the Petrov. So basically, of course, this position is just quite dry, very solid stuff by white, an attempt to survive, like just doing nothing. And they might even hope to play for a win. And so you see, that's why even here, look at this. I played first game I played, I don't remember, against 2400. Second game I played against 2300 something, 2340. And you see, I don't say to you that I should beat these guys. If they did well, I like, okay, I would say like, okay, today is your lucky day. You survived, congratulations. Of course, I wouldn't say that. I would say, what a lucky bitch. But still, no congratulations, of course, as well. But still, they would be lucky to survive, let's say. What do I do to win this position? The guy just like, okay, please don't beat me. Okay, how can I beat you if you don't want to get beaten by me? At the same time, I would say that this is the right strategy when you are the lower rated guy. You need to stay solid. Not like, for example, the last game with black I played. My opponent played EF4, which was a terrible move, a terrible decision. It looks like if knight b6, there is dc5. So let's go for ab6. I can go for e5 maybe. Maybe I can do something, it's either smart or something stupid. I can go for knight h5 with the idea to go for g5 and get the bishop pair. Because if g5, bishop g3, knight h5, the bishop has a square on c7 or d6. I can also go for e5, but once again, the position is quite drawish there. However, if I play knight h5, I lose control over the center, so it can be faced with e4, which may be not so good for me. Maybe not so bad for me either. Let's try, let's say something interesting. So you see, when you're playing against a low-rated opponent, it's also like you need to basically get some disbalance. Yes, disbalance. So maybe getting the bishop pair, maybe give him the bishop pair, maybe weaken his king, maybe something else. Yes. So I hope you get my point, guys. First I go for c4, and then I go for f5. And it will be hard to crack this guy. I will try, I will do my best, but he may survive. And there is not much I can do about that, about his wish to survive, unfortunately. But he's like like this. Please don't beat me, please. And unfortunately, there most likely there will be a fortress for the guy, and I will have nothing to do to beat him. Okay, that happens. What to say? What can I do about that? And it also depends how much risk we should take if we really want to win a game, like really doing that so badly, let's say. Should we really take a lot of risk, or kind of trying just to win in a soft way? So, like, accepting the fact that draw is a natural result of the game, and okay, shit happens. Yes, I can play e5 at any moment, but then d5 becomes weak, so that's why it's really hard to play this position for a win. And he's gonna, like, next move he's gonna play f4 and just like please don't beat me. Like, you see, I set up this fortress, it is so beautiful. And now this is the last chance for me to play e5. Now or never, but I cannot even play it, actually. So probably never. More like never. Okay, let's go for knight b6, maybe knight a4. Maybe later attacking the b2 pawn somehow. And of course, f4, I will have to meet with g4, so his knight wouldn't get to e5. And his knight, the funny thing is that his knights basically have almost no squares to move to. They let's say once he plays f4, g4, the only available squares are like this. How do I make it other color? These 1, 2, 3, 4 squares for 2 knights. Of course, I should play g4, otherwise the knight gets to e5. And such a domination by black, but the problem is that it's like really hard to crack the guy. And basically it's just a fortress, and there is nothing I can do to win this position, unfortunately. There is something I may try. At the very least, like, once again, at the very least, I have no problems, and it's only either I win or it will be draw. Of course, I would prefer to win, but maybe I will have to sacrifice on a3. Maybe I will try to play h5, h4, but that would... What the fuck? What a surprise! This is like, what is this? Okay, I see. fe4 I cannot go for because of knight e3, h5, rook h1. But like I can take with d pawn, no problem for me. And okay, now his knights are better placed, and he kind of like actually a reasonable, let's say a reasonable sacrifice, because he's kind of said that okay, I don't care, it's still a fortress. Okay, let's play bishop c6, but now I can, once I will sacrifice somewhere, it will be, for me, it will be like, let's say, it will be one more pawn for me anyway, right? I mean, I'm already a pawn up, and not just a pawn, but a very strong pawn on e4. So if I sacrifice a piece for 2 more pawns, or ideally 3 more pawns, then it will be already quite a lot of pawns, right? Yeah, Magnus doesn't believe in fortress. Or should I believe in them then? No. Why should I believe in them? Yeah, like he's like, please don't. Maybe he's gonna evacuate his king. By the way, don't I have b4 now? b4, a b4, rook a2. But then even rook b1 and not enough. Let's play rook d8, cutting off the way for his king. The point is very simple. If he plays king d2, I would go for e5. Now let's play h5. And he can actually never play king d2. And basically he's out of moves. Now he's kind of saying like, okay, what are you gonna do? I have a fortress and I don't care. Maybe e5, d5, rook d3 would be funny at some point. Maybe sacrificing on d4. What do I need to sacrifice on d4? I need my knight on c6. But it will take some time. But even if I sacrifice there, it doesn't give me much. That's the problem. Okay, let's double the rooks for now. Kind of thinking of something. What if bishop d4 now? Yeah, don't believe in this sacrifice at the moment, at least. Maybe I should press him on time and eventually just flagging him and talking less, but at least punishing the guy because he just wanted to do nothing and survive. Maybe now, should I take on d4? Takes, rook d4. Oh, wait a second. The guy made a mistake, and I was patiently waiting for that mistake. Maybe oh shit, I just blundered. Lucky me. Knight f5, king f5, rook h5. And now I need to keep that in mind. I can sacrifice. Should I, however, sacrifice? Looks like there will be not enough. Let's go for bishop g3. I need to play bishop d7 to protect f5. The rook is hanging. Let's play rook a6, at least more or less active, active square, active move. Let's say. Am I a pawn up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I am a pawn up. So like should be like, yeah, the position is just completely lost for the guy. What can I say? But still needs to be careful. And for example, bishop b5, there is c4. And the question is, how do I get something out of this position? Play for rook b8, force on b4, then rook c8. Oh, stupid me. What is this rook c8? Like, he can play c4. Somehow I totally, yeah, stupid. Okay, let's play king g5. Like, anyway, the position is winning. So, but okay. And so actually, the funny thing is that the guy blundered, but his blunder was quite lucky, and he could have even maybe won the game if he played knight f5 there. Okay, let's go. Let's push. Yeah, if f3 actually king e3. So should I be in a rush to do that? Maybe not really. So now f3, king e3, fg2, rook g1, and I would have h3. Let's improve the bishop a little bit, avoiding also some knight b6 stuff. So first, still neutralizing his ideas, because my 3 pawns will, of course, smash him. Maybe I will offer this guy a rematch. If he plays, we play. If he doesn't, we look at this game. He doesn't. Okay. The funny thing is that f4 is a mistake. Oh, he had g4, so I needed to play g4 myself here. But it's, how do I break through? Yeah, and he played this e4. Like, how do I break through in reality? No way to break through. Just wait, and that's it. And then you can already see, I know you don't see yet my biggest blunder with, yeah, e5, such a blunder. I thought he blundered, but actually I was like he blundered and I blundered. Knight f5 and he would be winning because like everything falls apart. But the question is, how do I like what the engine suggests here? Like, let's say if he doesn't do anything, what do I do? Maybe he, like, sometimes the engine gives just an evaluation and that's it, and doesn't really suggest how you should break through. Ah, f4 pawn. Ah, f4 is interesting. Okay, what if he plays rook h4 then? And even, can he give up? This is just interesting. The guy wrote a comment. He's talking so arrogant, like in my game. Not my opponent, but he's talking so arrogantly in his stream, like as if he saw everything. So I wrote him, "Are you a clown?" He said, "Why should I be? A bit of humility would suit you very well." No, this is not my opponent. This is just some random guy decided to show that he's the most important person in the world. Okay, so yeah, so like he could have simply waited, and then he would have probably survived, or at least I don't know, I would have to do something myself to sacrifice somewhere on a3 c3 at some point, or h5 h4 or b4. And actually, as I told you, like, this, of course, it doesn't look, let's say it doesn't look good, such a way of playing with white. But actually, when you play against a strong player, it's totally fine to do that. Yeah? It's like, okay, show me how you're gonna beat me. Because I'm playing white, I set up something, I play in a solid way, and that's it. And show me how you're going to beat me. No, I wouldn't say he played well because first of all, e4 was unnecessary, and secondly, when he got his chance with knight takes f5, he made a move quite fast, missing that chance, and he could have beaten me if he had played knight takes f5. But I mean, in terms of the style of play, it was okay. In terms of the style of play and aiming for a result, it was okay, of course. But I mean, throughout the game, before he got that position, he had a few options to play more actively, I think. Okay, maybe the last game for today. So let's play my Sicilian this time. No boring position with good chances for white to survive. And this is like, let's say, if previous, how many, 3 games already with black, my point was to just like to play normal moves, to basically to equalize, and then if there will still be some play, to play for a win. This time it's different. This is an attempt to jump over equality. This is what I call it. Here it is, let's say, a more risky way of playing because according to the engine, this position is something like +1 for white. But at the same time, most people simply don't know what they should play here. And for example, even I played it in Rapid against, or Blitz. Was it Blitz? Probably it was Blitz against Hans Niemann, and I beat. Once I lost to him, but I had a winning position. The other time I beat him. Okay, Queen e2. Looks like this guy is smart, or I have already played it against him. Let me see what I played against him. Oh, okay, I remember. I played this guy on the... okay, I see. Maybe the guy surprisingly came prepared, because Queen e2 is actually a smart move. It's not like any player would do that. So I know, for example, I know what I should play here, but I don't really... but I don't really want to do that because this deviates from my concept of playing for a win. So normally I just, in this situation, I should play just d5, e d6, bishop d6, queen d6, and that position is okay for black. Slightly better for white. I'm waiting for, like, usually white plays white castles here, and then we go for a6, b5, c4, and attack the king. Since the guy didn't castle, it's obviously a sign that he is smart and he is not going to castle, most likely. But let's check. Let's give him a chance to castle. A6, I don't want yet to show my ambitions. If I play A6, he will not castle for sure. Maybe he wouldn't castle at all anyway. Maybe, for example, he's listening right now. Hello. And he knows what I'm... Oh, like you see, he's really smart. Okay, we will wait. At least he cannot castle short anymore. Okay, now I have to play a6, because otherwise there would be knight d2, knight c4, so I need to prepare for that at least in advance. Okay, now let's go for knight e7. So this happens when your opponent knows something. I already don't like this guy playing this game because it shows that he knows too much, let's say. And as you remember, if you were at the beginning, I told you that after my last stream, I played like maybe 10 or 15 rapid, maybe even more rapid games to get listed for the leaderboard. And I lost my rapid rating from 2880 to all the way down to 2790. Then next day or 2 days later, I got a message from Lichess that somebody, like I played against somebody who violated the rules. I got 18 points back. The next day, another message, I played against somebody who violated the rules, and I got 50 points. So here it's interesting. There are a few ideas. Like, for example, f5 is interesting. But f5, okay, knight d6, not so interesting. Knight takes e5 is interesting. And knight c5, I will have to go for knight takes d3, knight takes d3. And then playing d6, and that position like is interesting. What is that? Not clear. Who is better? Not clear. Probably I shouldn't be worse there. No, I'm like, no, for this guy, of course, it's nothing clear. I'm just telling you in general that actually, like, let's say I, like, from time to time, I have some suspicions, yeah. And, like, let's say they're, like, sometimes they are real, let's say. The knight will go to f5. Maybe knight e5 was probably knight e5 was a good decision for me, but I decided to play it in a different way. Maybe this is not a good idea, actually. Maybe it's okay. No, it's okay. Should be okay. And the knight on f5 is controlling d6 and some squares around, protecting g7 at least for now. If he played knight d6, then I would take, rook g7, queen e5, check. And now it's finally time, like maybe to go for d5. Of course, I can repeat the moves, basically speaking. So here d6, d5 looks like something I got to play, and actually quite reasonable because my bishop is pinning the knight. Two guys were like cheated. Now I go for knight takes. Actually, after knight takes, my knight will be pinned as well. I can play f5 somewhere here, so okay, we'll see what happens here. Also, after this game, I will show you two games I played a week ago. Oh, not a week, like maybe maybe a week ago. And I think the guy cheated for sure. But there was no that how, like, I don't know, there was no message about this guy yet. But I mean, overall, this is one of the best way of playing, is delaying castling long, just doing something like rook h3 or rook h4, putting the rook on the g file, but then just you need also to keep playing precisely. Queen e2. What is this? Don't I win some material here? If I play f5, knight d6, bishop d6, let's say queen a6, king b8, bishop d6, rook d6, I win material. f5, knight d6, bishop d6, bishop d6, rook d6, rook e3 is an option for him, which may be not that bad. Of course, I can simply move my queen away, like let's say queen where? For example, maybe queen d7 or queen c6. Queen c6, bishop d6, bishop d6, rook f7. Queen d7, d7, knight d6, bishop d6, bishop d6. How about bishop f3, queen f3, queen d6, queen a8, I have king d7, that's okay. Interesting. f5, knight d6, bishop d6, bishop d6. Queen d6? No. Maybe queen d6. Queen d6, rook e3. Maybe queen d4. Or queen d7. Queen d7 don't have a threat. Okay, let's go for f5. Also, a few days ago, how I increased like a lot of blitz rating points. I played against a guy who was rated in bullet 2000 or 2100, but his blitz rating was 2770. And so I was totally crushing him, like beating him beating him like a kid. And I even texted him like, "Do you cheat or what?" Like, actually, yes, it was not a great idea to go for this position. Somehow, I I thought he couldn't castle, but apparently he could. And it's actually nothing really great for me here and now. Like I was expecting something else, let's say. Yeah, maybe I should have just played queen d7, or at least thinking less. But okay, what to do? That's life. Setting up a cheap threat, cheap idea. And actually, I'm doing okay here. Like, next move, I'm in time to play bishop c8, protecting my pawn, and that's it. I'm okay. King c7 was a very smart move, and overall, what I did was very smart. The point was rook e6, rook d3. Now it's time to evacuate. Oh no, it's time to play a5 first, so not giving him some chances with that story. Okay, queen f6. Going after the pawn on h5. Actually, I'm doing okay now. Rook d4, rook d8. King c7 was a very nice move. The only problem, I'm low on time. Actually, I can even go for rook h4. Yeah, the only problem is that I have 40 seconds, which is not much at all. Maybe rook d6 was better to leave the rook on to double the rooks on the d file later. But okay. Overall, the position is fine. But the time is not fine. Also, rook c5, maybe before I should. That's very dangerous. Oh, rook d1 is never an option. Shit. I forgot about that bishop. This one I'm probably gonna lose. No, not anymore. Not anymore. Not today. What is this? Lucky loser. Well, anyway, I'm lost on time. But okay, I was just winning already. Yeah, of course, somewhere I think I was winning. I left myself not much time. Knight d2 was good for him. Two. F3 was a mistake by him. Should have taken here, because now I cannot go for rook d3, queen d3, or rook d8 because of rook d6. I thought I would go for something bishop e4, but he has king a1 here. F3 was a mistake. However, king c7 was also a mistake. Rook h e8, rook h e8, and now if rook e6, there is rook d3. Here he could have taken. What is queen d8 and rook b7? So a5 was a good move by me. Queen f6. 4. Yeah, then it was around equal. But I blundered somehow. Yeah, somewhere here I blundered. Yeah, rook d3 was like, and I was winning. Then I think also after the queen exchange, it was very good position for me. King d6, ba5, bishop e8, bishop e8, like, oh, he found it. Bishop b7, then just play bishop f3, for example, or rook d1. Rook d1 I've thought about, rook d1, king here, king e7, but okay, like, here, what to talk about, I had no time. I had no time and blundered that stupid g4 stuff. Not g4 stuff, but being more specific, this stuff. cheap idea by the guy. But anyway, I would probably lose on time even if I didn't blunder that. But maybe king e7, yeah, I would maybe checkmate him. The drash position. Rook a7, winning a piece. When? Oh? Oh? Okay. Okay, shit happens. What to do? I was winning, but like if I explained less, then I would beat the guy, of course. So nothing to be upset about. Let's play a few blitz games, and that will be the end for today. Let's see if I hold my shining 2900. Oh, I just drop it for... Sir, could you please don't ask the same question several times? Don't I just trap his queen? The queen is trapped. Best what he can do is probably this one. Or he just showing respect. Scotch Gambit is okay, any opening is okay. So if queen f4 there is g3, if queen h5 then g4, queen g6, knight e7. Okay, let's play somebody else. And so basically one of our discussions today, one of our biggest discussions today was about how accidentally it so happened somebody asked a question about what to do if you lose to somebody who is 400 points lower rated than you. And so the games I played with black was actually a good example of what you can do. Yes, you either go in a slow positional way, or you go in a more aggressive way with some chances to lose, let's say. And depending on your playing style, depending on your character, maybe, let's say, one of these ways is not for you, maybe. Let's say. No rush, staying solid, waiting for the right moment to strike, to do something. The guy hates the bishops for some reason. So the bishops should punish him for such disrespect. Black is already better, but of course white is solid here, so it was not that easy to break through. Now it smells, doesn't smell good for white now. Okay, let's go. Let's ruin his pawn structure. Let's do that. Even though maybe it was... Oh, this maneuver. Oh, he holds. Shit. Somehow, fortunately, luckily, like incredible how he holds this. And maybe I'm not that much better anymore. Somehow I was really counted on that idea to create some problems for his king, but his king somehow survives, and maybe I'm not even anything better here anymore. Rook h3 at some point. Did it work? Oh, he wants to exchange the queens. Should need to move away. Fortunately, like Rook h3 would be a nice trick at some point. Anyway, he has the queen on d7 for a moment, at least for now, so okay. Not now, not now, for sure, not now, but maybe at some point. And this queen on d7 is annoying. And my time is not so good, let's say. Oh, the rook is hanging. Yeah, I don't feel like I am playing for a win anymore here. Like, the position looks suspicious. Of course, I have some ideas. I have some thoughts about this position. But looks a little bit risky for me. And maybe a little bit is also, let's say, kind of a good... what I'm doing here. I would say I overestimated my ideas, so like what I can overall do here. In c5, I cannot even play that one. Shit, I'm just gonna lose this game. Oh, h2 is not available for him. Maybe I'm not gonna lose it. Ah, bleh. Yeah, such a convenient position from the opening. I shouldn't have played e5 probably. e5, knight e4. Yeah, I thought about playing e4, but I decided, okay, like I went for this, but bishop f3 was a mistake. It looks good, but actually I cannot get there to the king side. Also, this maneuver was stupid. Let's play e4, e3, and easy win. I have already answered your question. You can do it both ways. Even nobody to play Blitz. What is this? Yes, and because like you haven't ever seen it in your own games, and you probably don't really know what to play against it, as well as like many other players, they don't know what to play against it. Okay, probably it's a sign that it's time to stop. Even like there is nobody to play a blitz game, this is already weird. So that's it for today then. Thank you for joining. And there will be no stream next 2 Saturdays because I'm going to participate in Asian Rapid and Blitz. So, like, most likely my next stream will be something like. It depends on the result. Maybe it will be in 2 weeks on Sunday. Maybe if the result will be nothing exciting, then just something like August 8th. Have a good day, FM Rakhmanov. Thank you for like putting me down as much as possible. Like okay, if nobody wants to play, that's it. Yeah. No, I'm not going to stream Title Tuesday. Like my like very very busy nowadays. A lot of chess lessons, preparing one team for Olympiad, um, or quite exhausted, let's say. Maybe like in terms of Title Tuesday, we'll resume it somewhere in like September, October, not earlier. That.